child, never fear. But where there's a will, there's a way.
And we're off. And
Welcome back, Sean.
Back again.
Where have you
Shady's
been?
back.
Where have you been? Where are you hiding, man?
Where have you been hiding? You're the busy person. Admittedly, you do live somewhere else, so.
Yeah, but all that stuff settled out of court now, so we're all good to go again.
Sound. The looking at the second pod room today, and it's been turned into an office. So for anyone who's wondering where we've been, both of our studios got turned into offices and we lost them both. So one of the many reasons that it's been a pretty huge delay in getting back, and also completely ruining our plans for the PQ Pods Fancy Football League, which is still going, and I believe Gavin is still winning.
Gavin's well ahead. We actually should get Gavin on here some stage and we talk.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to give him a call. Almost haven't spoken to him in a few weeks. He's very good at predicting things.
Yeah, I kind of want to know what his secret is, to be quite honest, because there's a few
Football
times
Manager.
where... You see, I played Football Manager.
Pro Evo.
I've completed it.
You've completed Football Manager. like Chuck Norris facts. Will Quinn facts. Completed Football Manager.
2 weeks. Done.
He can make Jose Mourinho not park the bus.
I don't know. He's a different kettle of fish altogether.
You know what? Speaking of Man United stuff, let's go straight to it.
Yes, please.
As your therapist, I'm going to read how you feel about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer becoming the Man United manager.
Go for it.
I think you're nervous. I think you're happy because he's a legend and he's done so well. But at the same time, there's a little bit of doubt gnawing at you that what happens when Real Madrid, who I'm told have 500 million to spend, Zinedine Zidane is the coach again, and he fancies a bit of Pogba, although I'm not sure he does. That's a story that came out of L'Equipe in France, that he fancies a bit of Pogba, along with Hazard, who'll be pretty cheap, and along with, there's one other player, maybe Harry Kane, I think was the third player, but Pogba was the other big one. I mean, I don't know how much that's true. It doesn't. I don't know if
Is
that the
agent? Is that the agent?
Probably, but like I said, I think there's a bit of doubt in your head as to what's going to happen next year because you don't know what kind of transfer dealing Ollie's going to do, because he's done so well with what's there. You wonder what's he going to change.
What is his experience with dealing with a world-class club and world-class players and building a team to go forward? I mean, he's taken a team that Moyes / Van Gaal / Mourinho created, and yeah, to be fair to him, he won 14 games of 19, as well as that game in Paris. But he got the players playing at their ability. Those are games they should have been winning. I'm not going to say that it wasn't a great achievement. It was. But can he do it again next year? Can he build on it? Can he take them further? Can he bring in new talent? Blend them with the ones that are there? Questions. I hope so.
I remember how dispirited Ollie got at Cardiff. And I do wonder if they get
a bit of shambles, though, wasn't it?
Oh no, it was an absolute shambles. But even someone as positive of him kind of had his mood affected. So they've had 2 back-to-back losses in the last few weeks.
They have.
Will he still be positive if that doesn't quite work for him to get them back on track? Like, are the players going to start losing faith in him? Or are they going to start questioning him? There's just a couple of little things you need to know. Like you've always said, you need to see them come back from adversity.
Yes.
And coming back against PSG was less to do with them and more to do with some mental VAR refereeing, some mental goalkeeping. It was just
Yeah.
everything was just like it literally was a poor back pass
Mm-hmm.
gave the Lukaku goal, which he did well to finish. I'll give him that.
Yep.
Then it was the other one was a shot, which Buffon dropped to Lukaku's feet. And the third one was a penalty. How you can give a penalty to a ball going over the bar? I don't know. It's like, oh, he stopped it from going in the net. He's not going anywhere near the net.
That's what UEFA is giving penalties for these days, so
I must
it'll come back. It'll
I
come
must
back.
credit to Ken Early. Ken Early has now described the limbs of defenders as penalty worms that you can target to get penalties. You don't need to worry about hitting the target anymore. Your target is the limbs, the two arms, or the penalty worms of the opposition defense.
I think
Forget shooting the target. Just hit the defender and see if you can get a penalty.
I think the night it was just meant to be. It was meant to be United going through. Obviously I was delighted. You and I exchanged a few messages that night.
I was so mad because it's such a bad decision. But after about an hour, I remembered it was PSG.
Yeah, it was PSG.
I suddenly lost interest.
But
as much as
it's just this kind of thing that, you hear the people saying that, especially in the media, of course, but they're saying like it's been 20 years since treble year, all these in charge now, team's firing, you never know what could happen. So we get past PSG and you're like, yes, this something special could be coming, and then we drop Barcelona, and you get like a boot to the face of reality. It doesn't slap you; it kicks you across the face, kind of going, "Oh yeah, I forgot that Barcelona were still there." We'll see what comes. No, there's two legs, not one. You see
I'm actually just checking something.
I see you had the one finger up there, so I wanted to remind you there's two legs.
Yeah, like I said, I was going to say in a one-off game, but you're right, it is a two-off game, a two-legged playoff. The thing, like I was saying about PSG, like I'm no fan of Man United as a Liverpool fan, but the Man United rivalry is kind of like a healthy rivalry. It's a traditional.
Brings out the best of both teams.
You can see the formerly biggest team versus the sort of most recent biggest team.
Yeah.
Then you look at teams like Man City and Man United, or Man City and PSG. And no, it's just like at least Man City have a target of world domination of football. PSG are a Nike advert with a football team attached.
The only way PSG will
actually,
achieve...
I just remembered.
Go for it.
Kylian Mbappe was the other signing Zidane wants. That's a possibility.
Well, we're safe enough. That's just 500 million gone.
500 million just for Mbappe.
Yeah. Do you think PSG when he will and they give him up after he only signed his full contract this year? 6-year contract?
It's man, like there's chat though too. They want Mane. There was a chat last year about that. And they're starting to sneak back in, but
they have more possibility in getting Mane and Pogba than they do getting Mbappe.
Well, maybe. Right, so how are you feeling about Ole? Because I've said what I think you're feeling.
No, you're absolutely spot on. It's to me it was either down to Pochettino or Ole, and as I have said to different people, it's 1-1. You take either one. Part of me thought Poch, because Poch has many years' experience. He done well at Espanyol in Spain, Southampton. He had a decent set of players. Actually, he overachieved with them, but on the Spurs. And to be fair to him, he's taken Spurs as high as they can go under the reign of Daniel Levy, and especially this new stadium. I can't see him topping what he's done. He can achieve the same again, but
it depends on what agreements they have to pay back like if they've got a short time to pay back the mortgage on the new stadium, that's going to be a problem. But if they've got a really long-term one, that way they can make some money and then use some of it to pay it back and use the rest on the squad. But
it's going to be interesting, especially with Levy's annual pay raises, where they've been going.
Pay raises for himself.
I don't know. My fear for Spurs is they could turn into the new Arsenal and go through 5 or 6 years of very bleak football, of losing their stars and signing.
Is that so much of a fear or a hope?
As a neutral team, I don't mind them too much. So I don't. I do think they will lose a player or two this summer, though. I think Eriksen's gone. Like he's in his last year of his contract. Walk free next year. Don't have to cash in, and if Madrid are throwing money about, no doubt 3 figures Spurs were looking for, pay off a wee chunk of their stadium.
That'll be good, yeah. Well, what about switching it up a little bit? Let's talk about Ireland versus Georgia, because that's the most recent game of football that you and I both watched.
Yeah,
watched in full, mostly in full. First of all, what did you think of the tennis ball protests? We'll get that out of the way.
That was great. That was fantastic. Crack. Yeah, that was,
I saw.
All that was chuckle when I seen it. I was like, yeah.
So the UEFA have charged the FAI over that for failing to control their fans. One of those silly rulings that UEFA has, which is, the FAI deserve. But I saw the Ulster clubs, all 4 provincial units, as well as the Youth Football Association, have all come out today to back Delaney, saying that he's visited over 2,000 grassroots clubs and he's turned the sod on this, and he's been at many opening ceremonies, and he's been vital in getting funding for this development, that development. I'm not buying the fact that he shows up to take a photograph and hands over a ceremonial check as a sign that he's doing anything good at all.
Is it worth 360,000 a year salary?
Well, he definitely wasn't worth that, and he's taken a supposed pay reduction to move to this new role, which is essentially the same role with slightly different job title. But
I wonder this role will they pay his rent too?
I think they're still paying his rent. That's not even one property. That's supposedly a couple of different properties they're paying his rent.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. 360,000 and they still have to pay his rent. And then the Irish fans go and throw him like a tennis balls in. I think he could afford them myself.
Well, the thing is, and I know a lot of people have complained about it. It depends. It seems like if you're slightly more our generation, you don't mind it, because the fans have to show their displeasure in a way that will actually have an effect. And so this had an effect. It interrupted the game, was on TV. Anytime there's someone runs onto the pitch or a flare gets thrown onto the pitch, the cameras are ready to turn away from it. Whereas the cameras saw the whole thing.
I thought it was great. Sure, I was sitting chuckling on it.
Yeah,
seconds before we scored, it was well timed.
Some of the older football men, who Ronnie Whelan's and going way back further than that to like Eamon Dunphy and stuff, they all hated it. They thought it was waste of time. It nearly cost us because Ireland almost conceded in the injury time added on in the first half. Nearly never boiled the kettle, though, lads. The thing that I thought about it is, now they've said that this isn't an order from John Delaney, but he's the boss. The fans that had their banners that said Delaney out and said things about Delaney and flags that were complained about him in the last few years going to the FIFA, they've had those taken off them going into the ground, and I think that's a disgrace. You shouldn't, unless a fan is bringing a weapon into the ground, you shouldn't be taking anything off them.
They've paid their money. If they want to take a sign on, they're more than entitled. So
flags and banners are part of the game. Does that mean they were part of the crowd?
Does that mean they were patting them down for tennis balls? Because this thing was organised publicly.
It's hard to pat someone down for tennis ball.
Where were they hiding them?
See, that's just it. You see, a banner's hard to hide if you get 4 people to carry it. Tennis ball, you could have them slid up your sleeve or something. If you get a big puffy enough coat. Yeah, so the tennis ball is clever because it's hard to. It does interfere with the game, and it's hard to take off people. It's hard to see. You can hide them. If you're like me, there you could hide 2 down the front of your trousers and sure. That analogy was working well, and I just ran aground. It can be read both ways, so I stopped mid sentence.
You got it.
the banner's been taken off the fans. I thought is one of the worst things that Delaney's ever done, and
Is
no
it true?
steward thinks. What did he ordered it?
Mm.
I mean, who else would order it? Do you ever see a steward at a game? Steward at a game is just a guy who's standing there to let people in. Like, unless you're carrying a weapon, they're not interested in you.
So, let's see. I'm trying to think of a hashtag here about Delaney. I know we normally write it, but we can't write it until he gets fucking booted because we could be writing for quite a while.
Hashtag Delaney is secretly Putin. The reason is, I tell you, I've told you this before, that to get over term limits in Russia, Putin stepped down as president and became the prime minister for 4 years, and the prime minister, who was in his party, became the president for 4 years, and then they switched back after 4 years. It's basically
kept the seats warm for each other then.
But he was still in power. Like, it was just he had a different title for 4 years.
It's just like an episode of Wife Swap or something.
Like, Niall Quinn was asked would he be going for the CEO job. Now the CEO job's open. He goes, why would you? He says the guy who you're replacing is still there and has almost exactly the same power.
It's a shamble. But look, it's Irish.
It is.
That's what it's all about. You just settle the fashion way with a good old drunken dust up.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so let's get off the protest. Let's talk about the game. Compared to what came before, was chalk and cheese. Different.
What?
Look at him. Glenn Whelan passing the ball forwards. What was that about?
I must have learned it over the weekend.
Did you know that Glenn Whelan could pass the ball?
I actually forgot about who Glenn Whelan was until he lined up.
35 years old. Played a blinder. And
he did the fair.
The whole team put in a massive shift. It was just positive. Passes going forward. You know, the front three were tucking in so that the fullbacks could overlap. The modern football, you know, well, it's not even modern football. It's just classic football, and it's football. You know, that's it.
McCarthy style football.
It is. McCarthy style of football is not terribly different to Jack's style of football. Jack's style was different because he would go from back to front in one pass. Yeah. And Mick doesn't mind the centre halves playing the ball out because you don't always have Niall Quinn to hit. So
the two of them paired well. Like I spoke about that. Duffy and Keogh.
Yeah, so I love Shane Duffy. He's my favourite centre half, you know, along with Virgil van Dijk for obvious reasons. But even then, Duffy's like a kind of a throwback centre half.
He's not as good as Lovren though.
Well, we'll speak about Lovren some other time. Do you know Lovren's fit? Can't get back in the team. Matip's been playing too well.
He's holding out because he knows Madrid's going to come on a big bed.
Yeah, he can go. He can go to Madrid.
Best in the world.
Hey, he only said he was one of the best in the world.
We knew what he meant. He'd be modest.
Modest, but he's not. Do you remember the video of him kicking his brother?
Yeah.
The classic.
Such a dick.
Brilliant. Anyway, so we'll get back to the topic here now. Keogh plays for Derby, and they play like that. They play out from the back, so you can see a lot of the times he was the one making passes at the back. But Duffy for Brighton too. Duffy's good at hitting passes, but so long as they're on. But I wouldn't like him to be doing it all the time when he's under pressure. He's maybe not quite as good as some of the centre halves, but then again, when it comes to winning aerial battles, Duffy's a hero. Like, I love that guy. And you know, I'm just disappointed Keogh didn't get more game time under O'Neill. Like, he got some time, but I don't. Like, you can see how much better the team is just from the positivity. And McCarthy's had them for 5 days. Think about that. That game was after 5 days training. That's all.
Pretty impressive.
They asked him that after the Georgia game. He had a smile from fucking ear to ear, McCarthy. Delighted to be back on the job, I'm sure. But they said to Mick, and I'll call him Mick because I once bought him a drink. Yeah.
These
I
are
once
pals.
I once slept in his bed. Admittedly, he wasn't there. Like, it was just I was in his house. So, are you still there?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just sort of froze up there on me. I don't know what's going on. Yeah. So anyway, stayed in his house in Portugal a few times. But he was asked afterwards. He goes, what about that for a change in attitude? And he goes, what do you mean change in attitude? And he goes, I don't. And they were like, oh, from the last time they played here. And he was like, well, I don't know. He says, I wasn't the manager then. He goes, and I've had them for 5 days training, and this is what we worked on, and this is what we did. And that's what thought Richie Sadler pointed out, that everything Mick mentioned that he said that they worked on in training, you could see it on the pitch. Like Glenn Whelan passing the ball forwards, the two central midfielders working up and down, and he wanted goals from midfield. And he's in the 2 games, his goals were scored by 2 central midfielders.
Yeah, he got what he wanted. Mick's at the wheel.
Anyway, what do you think of the game?
I enjoyed it. I didn't actually watch the Gibraltar game. It didn't interest me. And then when I heard,
Pretty crap.
yeah, that's what I heard. And then Georgia, though, I don't know. There's something different. I sat down to watch it and I actually enjoyed it.
The only thing I liked about the Gibraltar game was the amount of closing down they were doing. It was unnecessary against such a crap team. And when you close down, when you play like that, you've seen it yourself since Ollie took over Man United, closing teams down high up the pitch, you make chances for yourself.
Yeah, you force mistakes.
Against Gibraltar had like 10 men back a lot of the time. So even when they won the ball back, you couldn't really force a mistake because they still had 10 men back.
Yeah.
But it was much more effective against Georgia because they were a little bit more attacking than Gibraltar.
Oh, they went for it a few times now.
I think in their last 2 games they outplayed us, so they probably thought they could do it again.
But this is Mick.
But they don't know. They don't know Mick.
Oh, they know Mick now, though.
They know Mick now. No, they know Big Mickey style now.
Like Mickey style is a
Big Mick
gentle
energy.
spanking.
Big Mick energy.
I want to talk about Josie.
Well, before we get off, Mick only has a 2-year contract, and I think that's probably a good thing.
I think it's going to be a good transition. I think for once the Irish have done well, especially the FAI, and giving Stephen Kenny, the under-21s, get a bit more familiar with the setup.
Especially as a lot of those under-21s are going to be in the team by the time he takes the job.
Exactly.
And, well, a couple of them anyway. The thing, the reports I've heard is they played some very good football. They played very similar to the way, well, not very similar. They played like how he liked his Dundalk team to play. Good possession football, trying to make chances. But yeah, Mick is really under no obligation. He's to try and qualify for the next tournament, which he might do. He might not do.
Strong position at the moment.
But the main part of his job is to just get the team in a better state than it was, because it was in a rock bottom state.
Well, he's done that in 5 days training and 2 games.
5 days training. Well, actually, it's funny that because there was like 3 days between the games, so did he have like 2 days training before the first game? Any wonder it was terrible.
Well, there you go. We'll give him a pass on that then. So here, look, we still took 3 points.
6 points in 2 games. No goals conceded. By the way, we're halfway to our total goals tally from 2018.
It's impressive.
Yeah, we got 4 goals last year. We've got 2 already this year, so we're halfway.
It'd be even more impressive if you didn't follow that stat for the actual figures, but sure. That's how it rolls.
Yeah. All right, so you want to talk Josie, because the last time we were on, Josie was ensconced in his position. He was definitely staying on for another 10 years at Man United. My Irish. Go ahead.
We got it right. We called it. All the pre-season moaning. I think what we said was it's going to be his final season at Chelsea, Mark II. and it was exactly like the Chelsea one. What's the difference of 8 days in the second? It was a December 2nd. I think he lasted 8 days longer at United. 18th of December he left United. I think it was the 10th of December he left Chelsea after they lost to Liverpool.
Yeah, Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp coached Liverpool then too.
Actually, that's another thing we're right about. I actually counted my things right about, so I remember them. Was Shaqiri, if you remember, me and a friend of mine were having a heated argument.
Yeah,
I said we should have signed Shaqiri.
He was very important at the start of the season for adding extra impact. He fell away, but apparently he's been nursing an injury, and now he's missing some games for Switzerland with this injury. It's some kind of groin injury. Apparently, it might be like a pubic hair inflammation. Mm-hmm. You might be you know about that, yeah?
I wax.
He probably does too. That's where the inflammation came from. But you remember that celebration at the World Cup where he practically stripped off? Remember when he scored against Serbia?
I didn't fucking butt arse naked by the time he got to the crowd.
Christ. There wasn't a peck of hair on him. He nearly had the jocks off and everything.
Well, you see, the reason that I kind of came back to, well, not bite me, because I was right about Shaqiri, was the 2 goals that sunk United that effectively was the final nail in the Mourinho coffin. You know, so in a way, he done us a favour, because I was happy to see Mourinho go. I actually would have been happy to see him go last summer, but I had to endure along with everybody else.
Yeah, we could see it coming. Once he brought out the list and talking about the young players as if they're not my team, we could see it coming. Like, Remember the Titans is a great film for quotes, but there's a line in it that attitude reflects leadership, and if your leadership has that kind of attitude, what kind of attitude are the players going to have?
Sucked donkey ass, so did badly. You know, if he's saying during pre-season that wasn't his team, you know, that he needed these 3 signings, or he needed this defender, you're not really showing a lot of faith in the defenders you have. You know, what kind of confidence are they supposed to take from that? And then you have the likes of Ollie coming on, throwing their arm around them. Here, lads, go out and play a bit of football, and look at the change. So fuck you, Mourinho.
Worry. You know, say things like, "Don't worry about making a mistake, because I'm not going to pick you out in the press conference afterwards. I'm not going to throw you under the bus."
The only thing, like Mourinho, he won the Europa League in his first season, but the only achievement, bar signing Zlatan Ibrahimovic, that I have to actually condole him for is Luke Shaw. Like, he turned Luke Shaw into the player he is today. That's the thing.
You think so?
I think so.
You think so?
I think so.
I reckon if Pochettino was the coach at Man United when Luke Shaw signed for Man United, they wouldn't have taken 3 years for him to become the player he is today.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely
he would have been.
We didn't have Poch though.
1 week. 1 week.
When he was in his final year of his contract this year, he could have been gone.
Oh well.
And now he's like the 5th highest paid player in the team. Fact.
Well, he is only he's still fairly young, Shaw, isn't he? Is he 23?
Yeah, if even. Just
so he's coming into those prime years. Whereas guys like Dalot, who's 20, still got a year or 2 to go of not being so raw.
Needs a couple of seasons under him.
You know, so most of the rest, the fullbacks at United, are old. They're old men. Like, he's the only prime age player as a fullback, and he is a good player. There's no doubt about it.
That's why I can see a right back been signed this summer by LA.
I'm surprised that he didn't get that.
He's doing well, but
Real Madrid bought Militao, and I was surprised that someone in the Premiership didn't get him. He looks a player and a half.
Yeah, I sign him in FIFA every time.
Along with Matthias de Ligt.
Yep.
I wonder where the
Well,
league's going to go this summer. Barcelona looks like.
Barcelona. Yeah, Barcelona. Can't seem to go anywhere else. He's going to follow De Jong out there. And he'll be the rest of his career. Fantastic signing for them.
Long-term PK replacement.
Yeah, he'll be better than PK ever was. I never rated PK.
It was mad to see PK going from the guy I watched playing League Cup games for Man United, along with John O'Shea when they were only about 19. And both of them looked kind of shite in this one game. They both looked incredibly slow in this one League Cup game. And the next thing he's playing for Barcelona and people are calling him the best centre half in the world. And I'm like, what's going on here? What happened?
Carlos Puyol beside him.
Oh, God,
Good defender
Puyol.
can make a second defender.
Man, Puyol.
That's the thing. We signed PK for $1 million, and then we sold him back to Barcelona 2 years later for 6. And the reason they sold him was because Ferdinand and Vidic were solid and were going to be solid for quite a while. And Evans was there too.
You had Johnny Evans. Did you still have Wes Brown at the time?
Yep.
Do you remember a time when you had Wes Brown and Mikel Silvestre centre half, both centre half?
Yes.
You can laugh at that, but I used to think Mikel Silvestre was the business. There was a time.
I was actually at a Liverpool United game where Mikel Silvestre scored 2.
There was no, I don't remember.
Sure. Gerrard broke his ankle, his metatarsal, and Ferdinand made his comeback. Yeah, Ferdinand made his comeback from the drugs ban, and then the week after, Rooney made his debut, scored a hat-trick. Sorry, you were saying?
He made his debut against like Fenerbahce or something, didn't he?
Yeah.
And scored the
2 in the
hat-trick.
first. Yeah. Memories.
No, but I remember Sylvester, and I remember him going to United, and he was pushed into centre half along with Ferdinand for a while, and he actually was really good for a while. But then he had some injury problems, and they brought in Vidic, so he's kind of back out of the team again. But there was that time, there was like a short portion of the season where, because he was just so fast.
Mm.
It didn't really matter if teams got him behind United, because either him or Ferdinand would have got you.
He left us, went to Arsenal.
He did. That didn't work out so well.
No, funny, Arsenal have a habit of signing players that the big clubs no longer want, and it doesn't work out. Danny Welbeck's another one I'm thinking of.
Danny. And let's get
What's
off.
your thoughts on Mourinho?
Let's get off the nostalgia. Get back to what we're talking about. How shit a manager is Jose Mourinho. I don't care how many trophies he's won. Jose Mourinho, shit. I don't even believe it myself. Do you know what he is? He's just something happened to him when basically Ronaldo and Ramos and guys like this basically looked at him at Real Madrid and went, "Why are you telling us how to play football? You know, square root of fuck all about playing football at the highest level." And, Hazard has said recently he'd be happy to work under him again. But Hazard also said that Hazard was the one that opened my eyes to the fact that he doesn't coach an attacking system. He coaches a defence, and then he tells the attack to go do something. But, like, you need a plan of how to get from back to front, of how to get the ball out. And you saw the best example, I think, all season was Solskjaer against Tottenham, where he played his 2 front men out in the wing. And nobody up front, and it was just to use their pace on the counter into those areas that Spurs fullbacks vacate.
It's a better goal from.
Exactly. I mean, Spurs eventually figured it out, but there was a clear plan, because if you know what you're doing, you'll just look again at Ireland. If the players know what they're doing, if they've worked on it in training, it's a lot easier for them to do it on the game. Like, practice makes perfect.
You have to have faith in your manager too and what he's telling you. That's where Mourinho's failed at every club he's been at, bar the exception of Porto and maybe Inter Milan. So he left there on a high, but everywhere else he was sacked after 3 years, after losing the dressing room and falling out with everybody. Who knew?
It's almost as if if only someone had predicted this back in August.
Yeah,
that he'd be gone by Christmas.
You see, this is why Ed Woodward should really listen to our pod.
Well, if he's one of the 500 people that have listened to it so far, that'd be nice. I highly doubt it. I wonder, does Ed Woodward listen to anyone?
No.
Apart from the Glazers?
He's probably looking at Daniel Levy, wondering how you went and managed to give yourself 100% pay raise. You know, I've never heard of it before. I've done a great job. I'm going to double my wages.
Just double my own wages because I feel like it.
Yeah. What a twat. Right.
What's that, Harry Kane? Sorry, you want a contract extension and a pay rise? Oh, well, there's 3 million extra in the budget that just disappeared. I wonder where it went. I don't know, Harry. Sorry. Maybe next year.
Let's talk Liverpool.
Because Liverpool are playing Tottenham this weekend.
Yeah.
Good segue.
Yeah.
Because you totally nailed it. It's at Anfield. Liverpool win. Totally confident. Not really that confident. I'm going to say I'm totally confident, though.
Are you not
positive.
Like since the start of the year, are you not starting to brown trousers a little bit? They look a bit shaky.
It's not really that. Like, I've been around the block enough times, and in the year that Liverpool came second under Benitez, when they sold Robbie Keane in January, they have been leading the league, but 4 or 5 times that year, even though he didn't play well, 4 or 5 times that year they've been missing Torres and they played Keane up front, and he scored a couple of really important goals to get a draw here or 3 points there. Scrappy goals. He was totally different to anything they had. This was Keane at his peak. You could pull a goal at anything and out of his arse, and he was something totally different. Like, if you planned enough for Liverpool, you could shut down Torres and shut down Gerrard, and that was that team dead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Didn't matter how good Alonso was at passing the ball. If he's passing it to nobody, or if he's passing it to covered men, like, it doesn't matter. So the fact is, that team, I could see, had flaws. They didn't have enough players up front. They didn't have enough options off the bench. Eventually, they would run out of options, and they would, and they drew so many games against shocking teams.
They went far in the Champions League that year too, didn't they? Quarterfinals or something.
Yeah, but the draws that year killed them. They had like 11 draws. They've only lost like once all season. It's something I was a little bit worried about this year. They're going to end up with too many draws because they had 12 draws last year, which hurt them badly. And they've had 6 draws this year and only 1 loss. So if they've only got 7 games left, so hopefully they stop drawing. And they've won their last 3 games though. So,
well, Manny is pulling you to it.
Yeah, what I was saying though, like about the 2 times before they've come close to winning it. So that Rafa team lacked options, and I could see, kind of felt like I could see it coming when they sold Robbie Keane, because as much as he didn't work in the way Rafa wanted to play, he was something different. Do you know what I mean? He was just, even if you only needed him as a super sub, something different, something completely different. Is
it true that Benitez didn't even want Keane? He wanted Gareth Barry from midfield that year.
He wanted several different options.
Was Robbie Keane a Rafa signing?
I can neither confirm or deny, but that is the rumor.
That's what I heard.
He wanted extra options in midfield, and he had fallen out with Alonso the previous summer, and this is where Rafa really cost himself. He'd fallen out with Alonso because Alonso didn't have as good a season the season before, but like, they'd fallen out over Alonso missing the game to be at the birth of a child, and this is where Rafa and kind of Jose overlap in their same thinking. They shouldn't have to spend 3 days in the hospital, like, once the baby's born, come back to play the game, is the way they're looking at it. But so he was going to sell Alonso and buy Gareth Barry, but they didn't get Gareth Barry. They couldn't agree a deal. I think it was Villa at the time.
It was.
So they didn't sell him. It was ridiculous. It was only like 18 million or something he was supposedly going to sell him to Juventus for. It wasn't enough even back then. So he held on to Alonso and just said, like, he tried to make up, but Alonso admitted he never really forgave him for the way that they kind of fell out over that. Alonso put in an absolute stormer of a season that season to help Liverpool get to that point.
Yeah.
And come the next summer, he left. And that Alonso leaving kind of ruined. It was a big portion of the team. It was the brain of the team was taken out of it. The guy who made all the attacks from deep. And so, yeah, I think he wanted Gareth Barry to replace Alonso at the start of that season, and they didn't get him. And what everyone was looking at was what that Liverpool needed was a guy who could play off Torres. And so the obvious thing they thought was, well, Keane plays off Berbatov. That's who we need. And so they bought him when he missed out on Gareth Barry. I don't know if he wanted him, but Keane isn't the player that Benitez wanted to play off Torres. He wanted to play Gerrard off Torres. Because let's be honest, as a guy running from midfield, because he doesn't want a second striker, he wants someone running from midfield.
So Gerrard was best at it at the time.
Yeah. Like, we won't get into my deep thoughts on Gerrard and his many, many, many flaws. That
No, we'll keep that for another day.
It gets me to many, many arguments with Liverpool fans. But let's go on to that.
Yeah, let's not slip that on here now.
They're you're obsessed. It
makes me happy.
It's called obsession.
Obsession for men.
Obsession for men. Obsession for Man United fans.
Anyway,
back to the important thing. Like I said, that season under Rafa, I could see it coming. I could see it coming because even up until that point, when they had gotten to the top of the table at Christmas, they were drawing too many games against crap teams. And Man United always finished the season strong. They can go in 12 games in a row, win every game. That Man United team under Fergie was able to get them on a momentum run, beat everybody. And same thing, they had loads of options. Did they have Solskjaer still at the time?
No.
I think he was injured. He'd run out.
He hung the boots up 2008, year before.
But did they have Luis Saha at the time? Do you know what? It doesn't really matter. They had more options.
We had Berbatov that year, with Tevez.
So,
with Tevez, with Rooney, with Ronaldo.
Think about those options compared to what Liverpool had. Liverpool had Dirk Kuyt and Albert Riera on the wings. Remember me telling you at the start of the summer, what Rafa Benitez is truly great at is making shit players play above themselves.
Yeah.
Albert Riera was Liverpool's left winger, and I believe top assister that season. Let me remind you, Albert Riera played left wing all that season. Anyway.
And we were talking about a season 10 years ago. This season.
Yeah. Like I said, I could see it coming. Same with under Rodgers. That team was being carried by Suarez way more than the current team is being carried by Mane.
You see there's more players in there. Like if you got Salah back to the form where he was last year.
Even half of it would do. Because this time last year he scored like 2 goals in every game. If you get half of that, that'd be fine. But the thing is, this season Liverpool's team is built on a solid defence and beating the shit teams. Liverpool are kind of drawn. They got a win against Man United. They got a win against Tottenham. But they lost and they drew against Man City. And I think they had a draw away with Arsenal. But like I said, they just about keep pace with the top teams when they're playing the top teams, but they've beaten the draws. Anyone from about 6th down, they've beaten. Home and away. That's the major difference for me, is this team, it has more options than the previous teams. It also has a far better defence than it had under Rodgers. And Rodgers, like you said, it was one slip away from the whole house of cards falling down. And it did. It collapsed into a giant heap against Chelsea. Thanks, Jose. You weren't even near the title that year, but you had to fuck it up for us. You prick. And I hope you never get a job again. I just knew he was going to ruin that season for us.
Tell me this. Are you going to win it?
I'm listening.
Are you going to win it?
I called the start of the season. I'll keep saying it. We're going to win it. I mean,
I don't
here's
think
the thing. Right? The hope was the hope. We'll say the hope. The hope was a bit better than last year. We get closer to Man City. 20 points off Man City at this time last year. 20 points.
City aren't the same team they were last year.
No, and we're slightly better.
Yeah.
And that's all we wanted. That's it. You know, we've made up a fair chunk of ground.
They're a point ahead. Same many games left.
Well, you're assuming they're going to beat Fulham.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to beat Fulham.
Yeah.
Unless Scott Parker does something magic.
Is it going to come down to the Manchester derby?
God, I hope so. That would actually be quite sweet if Man United helped Liverpool win the league.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter whether you want it or not. This is my dream.
Nothing I can do about it.
Exactly. No, you do it.
I can want and hope all I want, but
want in one hand and shit in the other and see what fills up first.
Basically, take a look. Hey, no, it's gonna like even that game I can't call, you know, because especially with Ollie signed this contract coming off the back of 2 losses, that team's gonna be an all-time high again. We're really going to run again now. I don't think that's going to make a difference in the Barcelona games. Barcelona are just a class ahead, I think. But I think in the league we're going to go on a run. And unfortunately, we could get a result against City.
I'd love that.
I would love Kane. I would love Kane to score a hat-trick this weekend.
You only need a draw.
Spurs won on Sunday. I'll take a draw.
A draw would do Liverpool.
But what if you lose on Sunday?
Well, we're at Anfield.
Like guarantee 3 points?
No, it's hard to beat Liverpool at Anfield. Yeah. That's all.
Harry Kane.
One more thing, that's different about this season than last season. Joe Gomez and Oxlade-Chamberlain are both back.
It'll take 3-4 games to match fit.
They won't play against Spurs, but I think they've been back in training this week. So Ox has been running around for a fair bit, but he's played an under-20s game or something like that. But the thing about it is, it's not about this week, because there's 7 games left, or is it 6 games?
I thought 7, but maybe there's 6.
Doesn't really matter. It's 1 game difference, but this time is usually when Liverpool's team starts to fall apart from lack of squad depth.
Mm-hmm.
With Fabinho and Henderson, there's 2 hold midfielders. Wijnaldum has played as a hold midfielder at the start of the season. Naby Keita's got an injury, but he's there. He'll be back. Lallana has shown in the last few games, now that he's fully fit, what a good player he's been for Liverpool over the last few years. He's had a tough season and a half with injury, but he played really well his last few games. Mane's in amazing form. Watching Firmino playing for Brazil, Firmino still looks like he's the happiest man alive, and if he could convert a few goals for us, that'll be great too. And, Salah's had a nice holiday. Maybe he'll be fresh come the weekend. Like I said, there's a lot more positive things this year going into the last few games than there was in those other years. That's the only that's the main reason I'm positive. I can see them winning it this time. This game against Chelsea are massive.
I'm just looking at the fixtures here. Saturday we have got City away to Fulham. 3 points City.
Yeah, unless Scott Parker plays some magic, or Ryan Babel does us a favour.
I'm going to say 3 points City.
Would seem that way.
Liverpool, Spurs, Anfield. My heart says a draw, but my head says Liverpool won. And then next up for the midweek game, next Wednesday, City are hosting Cardiff. I'm going to say home one.
I think that's their game in hand.
Friday the 5th, Liverpool play.
Yeah.
Away to Southampton. Friday games unpredictable, but I'd say Liverpool won. Next up, City are away to Crystal Palace. The old Palace one. Remember the Townsend goal of the season?
Palace are tougher nut than Fulham.
And then 2 hours later, you're home to Chelsea.
That's the other big game
That's a big
that
game.
they've left. Hopefully Sarri's completely
Oh.
shat the bed and they've just fallen to pieces by then.
I forgot about this one. City then host Spurs.
Oh yes.
That's a big one.
Keep going.
The same weekend, use our way to Cardiff. And then midweek after that, United host City.
And who are Liverpool playing that weekend?
Huddersfield on the Friday night again. There's 2 Friday night fixtures you have.
Away or at home?
Home.
Now, tell me that doesn't look very interesting from a Liverpool fan's perspective. And yes, as much as we pretend we're not looking at the fixtures coming up, we've all looked at that. We've all looked at it.
I didn't realise that City have Spurs and United back to back, along with European ties around them.
Cup ties as well.
Cup ties as well. And then City are away to Burnley. And Liverpool are away to Newcastle. Oh shit.
Rafa. Do us a favour, Rafa.
Could you imagine Rafa was the man that cost you the title? Could you imagine?
I'd be heartbroken.
Oh, that would be a
Although they're approaching mid-table, so maybe they'll go on holiday by then.
Fucking Rondon.
Did you know that they're approaching the halfway mark of the table now?
It's mental.
How is he doing it? Like I said, he is brilliant with shit players.
That's your second last game of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit! Right,
that's City's last game of the season.
City's last game of the season.
This will be good. Have a look at City's last game.
Away to Brighton.
Is it?
Yeah.
No, City's second last game then.
City's second last game. Home to Leicester.
Brendan, come on down. All is forgiven, Brendan.
It's the same day and the same time as you play Rafa.
Isn't that mental?
It is. That's a special one there. And then final game of the season. Final game of the season then. Away to Brighton for City. Liverpool home to Wolves.
Neither of those are that handy. Brighton have a good home record.
But on the last day of the season, if you needed a win to clinch the title, would you rather play away Brighton or home to Wolves?
I'd rather be home than anyone, to be honest with you. Home anyway.
Wolves can sting you. Wolves
are tough.
You know what? There's negatives in there for both teams. More so City, if I'm being honest. But I just, when I seen that Newcastle game, especially St James's Park, I went, oh, you could smell something. But Pele gets here. He's only about the fucking 3-4-0. Or
Rafa loves us. He'll tell them to lie down.
Rafa was insulted when he wasn't offered the job.
I don't believe that for a second. Rafa was insulted when?
Was it when Kenny left? Or Rodgers left? No, I think it was Kenny. When King Kenny left. Rafa, according to sources.
I would be hard for Rafa to get that job because when Kenny was there, Kenny was brought in by the new owners, the new American owners. This is John Henry and FSG. So what would they really know about Rafa? Other than that Rafa's a sort of a defensive football organized coach, and what they were looking for was entertaining football so that they can sell players for a profit.
It's almost like you're saying football's a business.
It's almost like they are stockbrokers and we're inflating the prices of players to make a profit on these stocks.
No.
Hey, look,
man.
That's the guys who run FSG are all hedge fund guys, so they know how to make money. They know how to buy something cheap and make it look good, throw a slab of paint on it, some makeup, and sell it for twice the price.
I think we should start wrapping up our first pod back, but I think you should.
Because you want to go to bed?
Partially. This could go all night. We have so much to cover, but I think you should have the final word on Chelsea. You called it.
Oh,
It's
sorry.
happened, like you said.
Well, it didn't happen quite the way I said. The way I kind of looked at it is Sarri needs time to develop. It didn't happen overnight at Napoli. He'd spent a couple of years. He isn't a guy who buys a lot of players. He works with the players he has. And at the time he came in, Chelsea didn't have anyone in charge of transfers.
No.
So I was like, who's going to get bought? Are they going to buy the right players? Is anybody going to go to the coach who doesn't like to buy players? You know, such and such a player is not going to work in the system.
Bear in mind, we'll give him a bit of slack on is when pre-season kicked off, Conte was taking training.
Conte was still in training because he didn't
Yeah.
arrive till 2 weeks into preseason. Yeah, that's all. That was all one of the reasons why I didn't like it, because he needs time and he had very little time preseason. They started the season really well, but a bit like Solskjaer, what you got to know is when results don't go your way, the players look to the manager for confidence that the plan is going to work if they stick to it, even when things are going wrong. Like Pep has this, like supposedly Pep has had this steadfast refusal at Barcelona to ever change the system, ever change the style, and that's why eventually when Mourinho put a brick wall of Inter Milan players up, they eventually beat his Barcelona team, because he had to convince everyone at Barcelona to trust him all the time. His reputation is so big that when he came to Man City, he can chop and change formations, and he changed the system to play Liverpool. Each time he played Liverpool this year, he played a lot more defensive than normal because he got hammered by Liverpool twice last year. And I think, with his reputation, he's been able to sort of adapt. But when you come into a club first, you have to convince the players. If you're constantly changing when you arrive, the players aren't going to buy into your system.
Because you don't know what you look like.
If you don't know, if they think you don't know it yourself, like, they're not going to buy into it. So this is part of the problem that Sarri has, is that Sarri has basically give out about the players whenever the system has been, whenever they've been exposed. He's been blaming the players as opposed to saying, oh, we just need to work on this, we just need to work on this, and convincing the players to stay with them. And look, those Chelsea players don't need much incentive to down tools. We've talked about it before.
Toxic dressing room.
They will down the tools as soon as they feel like it. I mean,
quicker than a councilman.
There was people putting up all these things about Hazard being better than Salah, and the response is always, well, Salah hasn't downed tools twice. Salah hasn't taken a season off twice to get a manager sack. Like, he hasn't just done it once. Hazard's done it twice.
I wonder how Chelsea are going to come through this pending transfer ban they've got coming towards them.
Yeah.
Because you've got players there under big contracts like Kante. Zidane's really fancy a bit of their French fucking man in the middle. They don't have to sell. They're not obliged to sell. They probably won't. But
and not to mention that certain owner of theirs just hasn't come in the country in about a year. Hasn't been seen around the ground.
It's a bit sour, that. But then you take Hazard, where they may be forced to sell. He's out of contract next year. They get 100 million from this year, they get fuck off from next year.
They won't get 100 million from this year.
I think.
Because he's out of contract in a year. Who's going to pay 100 million for a guy who's... Hazard's good, but man, he's only got a year left in his contract.
So look what players are going for now. Look, what do you call him? Hernandez was 68 million euro.
It's a 22-year-old left back / centre half who's a World Cup winner and a league title winner in Spain. Oh,
I'll give you it.
Didn't Bayern also sign Pavard?
Earlier on the season, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I had heard this, and I had heard it ages ago, but then they only confirmed it maybe January time. Anyway, so they've got both Pavard and Hernandez coming in for next year to sort of improve their defence. Although there was chat that maybe Alaba's going to Man City, but I don't know about how true it is.
Yeah, I heard some of that too. I don't hear no City, but I did hear he was thinking of heading actually to Juventus.
God, that'd be interesting. How about Juventus?
They're
Juventus
building something.
Juventus are good at transfers.
Yeah, I've got a good record to be fair to them. I like Juventus. To be fair.
You can't doubt them. I mentioned to you before that there's some information out there. A lot of people always like to remind Juventus of the match fixing or the referee influencing scandal. But there's some stuff out there that say that maybe they were just a little bit set up over that, and that
Yes,
maybe
you
Inter
did.
Milan, the one team not to get punished for this, were also the team that benefited most, and
So they got awarded league titles and everything.
and that there was connections between the phone company that recorded phone calls between the directors and the head of the referees. Just happened to be one of the companies that possibly has ties to Inter Milan. Like, it was very suspicious.
They awarded league titles. They were awarded cups. They were awarded.
Probably
Not
Super Cups.
even awarded, but Patrick Vieira cancelled his contract. Juventus and signed for Inter Milan, and his prime.
That.
Yeah, they were definitely the benefit. So, as a conspiracy theory, it's kind of fun.
Forget conspiracy theories. It's fucking dodgy looking though.
Oh, it's good to be back.
It's good to be on. Right. Yeah, like the other thing we just finish off on Chelsea talk was, like I said, Sarri needs time. It was his biggest thing to develop his team, and the one place you're not getting time is Chelsea.
Hells no.
So
Yes, here they can cut Ancelotti. More so than Conte. Ancelotti was fantastic at Chelsea.
no, it's just
Chelsea. Didn't work out in his second season, and they just fucking cut him.
But look, hey, do you know what's funny? Is Conte, I think, has either the same number of points or more points than Sarri does in his second season. And Conte had the legs cut out from under him when they sold players he didn't want sold, like Matic to Man United. Like, they did that without asking him. Like, I know Conte has a bit of a prick, but he had the legs cut out from under him at the start of the season.
Yeah, I'll have to give him that.
And like I said, I thought he did one of the best things I've ever seen, which was to play that back three with Azpilicueta as a right-sided centre-back who was allowed to drift forward like a right-back every now and again. Mm-hmm. He got a load of assists from Morata at the beginning of that season, whipping balls in from a kind of a deep position. He had 4 or 5 assists, and Morata was playing well for him.
Yeah.
And, he somehow got performances out of what do you call the guy who played right wing back for them?
Alonso?
No, he was left wing back. Right wing back.
I've got blank.
Remember he was at Liverpool for a while. He was on loan at Liverpool.
Then you should know this.
It's just his name's gone out of my head for a minute.
It'll come back.
Anyway.
Did he do anything of significance? You're looking at your phone, aren't you?
Looking at my phone.
If all else fails, Google it.
Why is my brain not working, man? It's so weird.
It's because we're recording later than normal.
Just glad to be recording.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm
glad we're back in the country too.
Nah, you're back in the country.
Google not going fast enough.
Yeah. Oh, Victor Moses. Oh my God.
Ah, yeah.
He got a tune out of Victor Moses. Why is my brain?
I didn't think that either.
This.
I forgot he was even
This work is no good.
No.
What's that?
I forgot he was even
at Liverpool. He was on loan. for half a season, I think. So it
Yeah.
didn't really do all much.
So, to summarise, Sarri's gone to the end of the season.
Well, you never know, but it doesn't look good.
And then who are they going to attract that can't buy players for a year? And they have to come in and convince the players that are there to stay.
Do you know who it won't be? It won't be Diego
Mourinho.
Simeone.
Because Mourinho. Simeone is destined to stay at fucking Atletico. I think
Do
he
you
will
know
go
why
to
he's
Atletico
destined to stay at
eventually.
Atletico? Do you know
Hell.
that he's one of the highest paid managers in the world? Diego Simeone.
Get away.
Oh,
Is he?
mental. Gets like $3 million a month.
To quote Mourinho, what has he won? He won a Liga. He won a Liga.
I think he won a UEFA Cup.
He won a UEFA Cup.
I think he won a UEFA Super Cup. They've lost 2 Champions League finals, but at the same time,
to their rivals.
At the same time, they had won nothing before him. They were a yo-yo club before him. You know.
So he's getting paid off legendary status.
Well, just it's an incredible amount of money.
More power to him. I do like him, but again, I've had enough of defensive style football in my lifetime.
In fairness, he's tried to change it. The players he's brought in, like bringing in Thomas Lamar, like their defense hasn't been nearly as strong. Part of that's injuries. Part of that's Diego Godin getting old.
He's heading, isn't he? He's going at the Milan end of the season.
Inter Milan, where players go to retire.
Italy, football and graveyard.
Unless it's Juventus.
Juventus exception to the rule.
It's almost the exception that proves the rule.
What?
Because they are literally the only good team in Italy.
Actually, we are. Speaking of Atletico, Griezmann apparently is fed up.
And apparently Barcelona want nothing to do with him because he fucked them over last summer.
Yeah. So where does he go?
Man United.
Or PSG?
Well, PSG. He's a Paris boy. I've heard this before that he wants that going to Paris mightn't be bad for him. No, there's another someone. What if he goes to PSG because a certain superstar goes to Real Madrid? And no, I don't mean Neymar. I mean Mbappe.
I asked which one you talked about. Is the one that stood with his fucking mouth open as he watched Rashford strike the net?
Sorry, I don't consider Neymar to be the PSG superstar.
Here, excuse me, he's the 12th best player in the world.
Yeah, those. Look, you and I were totally for Modric becoming World Player of the Year, but when they put Messi 5th, I was like, that's
Griezmann's ahead of him.
Like, this is a joke. Hey, have you seen the hat trick he scored against Betis recently, Messi?
I have.
Do you see the one where he chips the keeper from the edge of the box, but the keeper's not off his line? He's not off his line. He still managed to chip the keeper.
It's ridiculous. It's Ballon d'Or. Give it to him.
Give it to him right now.
Yeah.
And you know what? They are definitely going for the Champions League because they've been resting players in the league already this year because they've almost got the league wrapped up.
The league's won.
So if they win the Champions League and he wins another Ballon d'Or, he's got more Ballon d'Ors than Messi, or he's got more Ballon d'Ors than Ronaldo, and he's got the same number of Champions Leagues as him.
Winner by default. Ronaldo's not won no more Ballon d'Ors where he's at.
The thing is, right now, you and I both agree that Messi's the best player in the world, but Ronaldo's probably the best striker.
Yes.
I've been hearing people saying that, Ronaldo has proved himself to be better because he's done it at 3 clubs.
So?
Well, Ryan Giggs was at 1 club his whole career. Are you trying to diminish his standing because he stayed at 1 club?
Exactly. Like, It's
This
funny.
is this.
It's actually Ibrahimovic said this. I'm being a cock as normal, but I had a laugh. He criticised Ronaldo, saying that he went to Italy for a new challenge, but the best team in it that is miles ahead of the oppositions.
Miles, Juventus
So
are not even like Juventus are only. I mean, it's like Juventus are probably like PSG is in France compared to the other teams.
exactly. So he went to Italy, and if he sat on the bench and never kicked the ball for full season, they still won the league.
Absolutely.
So
For God's sakes,
where,
if they would take
where's the
Dybala off
challenge?
the bench. Dybala is on the fucking bench. Like,
Where's the challenge?
exactly.
I like it.
Like, it's not like he went to fucking Stoke.
Oh, he's such a cock too. He really
Like, and
is.
this nonsense too about Ronaldo won a European Cup with Portugal. Like, what kind of bullshit is this? Messi is the
He
top
stood
goal
on the
scorer.
sideline and danced.
Messi is the top goal scorer. They also fluked that fucking thing. Giroud missed a fucking sitter that would have got France back into the game and probably would have won it. France should have won that.
Yep.
Like, you've seen France went on to win a World Cup 2 years later. France with a better team. Anyway, they fluked their way through that.
It wasn't anything to do with Ronaldo's fucking dancing on the sideline and waving of the arms like he was the manager. That had nothing to do with it.
Anyway, Messi, during the worst spell for Argentinian football, is the top scorer in Argentinian history. He's got more goals than any other player for Argentina ever in one of the worst Argentinian teams ever. Coached by some of the worst coaches in history. He still managed to break their goal scoring record.
That's because he's the best player in the world.
That's because he's the best player ever. And Pele can suck my dick. Which apparently he enjoys. No.
I think that's a good note to finish on.
Let me ask you something. How many just I would say Ronaldo's better than Pele too. How many players of the quality of Diego Godin would Pele have played against? How many centre halves that good? And Ronaldo's got how many hat-tricks against PSG or against Atletico Madrid?
8 was it?
It's fucking something stupid. It's fucking it's his regular yearly thing is to score a hat-trick against Atletico Madrid, but Diego Godin would have broken
like
Pele in half.
26 goals against them. Yeah. Pele wouldn't go past them.
Like I went back and before I decided on this, I did look back at some of those old games you can find on YouTube of Pele. The defenses are so slow. It's unbelievable. Like he's drifting past guys. And, I was reading into this and some of the defenses that he would have come across that you've got Farmers playing centre half. Like you look at the athletic ability of, say, a Van Dijk. That kind of modern athlete centre half, there were none of those back then. And that's why I've decided that Messi and Ronaldo are both better than Pele. In fairness, this is partly because I've always been a fan of Maradona. I was always a Maradona fan. Whenever someone asked me who would I prefer, Maradona or Pele, I always said Maradona because Maradona was mental. Like, look, he's just pure brilliant. He's pure entertainment.
Still is.
Look, I'm not saying Pele wasn't a great player, and look, you won so much with the best Brazilian team that's ever been. Well done, you.
Give them their dues but in our opinion, it's Messi. I'm a United fan. Ronaldo, we sung his name, but Messi's better.
Well, like it's and we'll give this little final word to Steven Gerrard. Messi isn't just the best goal scorer or the best assists provider. He's the best passer. He's the best dribbler. He's the best at everything he does. He's not just one thing or two things. He's the best at about 4 things. And that is why he's the best player ever, because he's as good as Maradona was in his heyday, but far more consistent.
Amen.
Am I right in saying that he has over 800 goals and assists for Barcelona?
Yes.
In how many different Barcelona teams? How many different coaches? How many
ridiculous.
different systems? How many different positions?
is ridiculous. And we're playing them in about 2 weeks.
Ashley Young, pocket him.
Apparently Chris Small knows the secret to marking him.
Is it not to play Chris Smalling?
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking R.I.P. Chris Smalling's career and reputation.
All right, got anything to say to the girls and boys in podcast land before we go?
We're back and we're not going away this time.
We'll be back. Tomorrow's Friday. We're back tomorrow.
Tomorrow, definitely back to review the Liverpool game.
Well, that game's not tomorrow because the game's the weekend, but okay.
That's why it says tomorrow, or they will be back to review the Liverpool game.
Well, whether you're back or not, I'm back tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be day one of General Patton Sports. I will probably be looking for your input at some stage. I'm hoping to get Wazzer and Jay in there. I'm thinking about the plans. Is it's going to be an all-round sports discussion. I'm going to have 5 topics. I'm not going to tell you what the topics are. I'm going to hit you with them on air, and you have to give me your thoughts on the spot.
That kind of scares me.
Please drink coffee beforehand.
That kind of scares me.
Well, it's brilliant to be back, man. So
Same.
let's leave it at that.
Right, Slanish.
Good night.